Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you just a bunch of goofiness. I'm going to this first part of the video. Just just stick with me, right? I mean, you actually don't have to. I wouldn't blame you if you don't. I'm going to talk about how goofy I am for a little bit, and then we're going to get on to less goofy things. The first draft of this video was 2 weeks ago, and I've made repeated changes because I can't quite nail everything I want out of Haloscreed Battle Clade. And I'm thinking this time might be the time, but even how we got here now is stupid. So, Haloscreed Battle Clade, I am making a video because I don't like how AdMech keeps having this thing happen where a change happens, some people look at it, go, oh, cool, and then continues to play Skitarii Hunter cohort. It feels like a waste when there are other things in the codex, believe it or not. And I will also do the preface again, I don't currently play AdMech, but at this rate of how many times I've been trying to relearn and figure out things, maybe I end up just converting for the fuck of it at this point. So I've been trying to figure out what is good for Haloscreed Battleclade. And this is a detachment that gives you stat boost to AdMech datasheets. So it takes weaker datasheets and makes them better in certain ways. That said, it becomes a bit of where are the breakpoints? I've had issues with breakpoints on a lot of the things I've considered making the Halo override units to either give move, toughness, advance and charge stealth. And I've think that I've come around to the fact of, well, if you treat it like neural overload is the quote unquote detachment ability, don't think too much about this, just the way my brain operates, right? And your detachment gave you 2 free uses of neural overload basically. Well, for 2 units, one with the same override ability. Happy days. Kalu Kalay, right? I think that's how it works for my brain to understand where to go with this. And I've toggled several things in my brain as to where we land with this. So, where am I going with all of this? Get on with it. After, on the first take, I was like, okay, transocular dyad wafers, 30 points, auto take, right? You take a squad of Castelline Robots, give them Doctrine Imperatives, and they get a Halo override. Make this unit T11, okay? And then I did go into the rest of the camp of people after looking at that a bit, and it's like, well, don't think Castelline Robots are still not worth it even with the points decrease. So you drop them. And you know that bell curve meme situation? Where it's like, bottom, and then I guess that's not a bell curve, it's the opposite. Alright? Anyway, that graph meme where it's like you start down here, then you peak, and then you're right back to where you were when you didn't know anything. I am now at that spot where I'm like, well, what if you take 3 squads of Castellan robots and make all of them T11 for the most part, right? Cybernetica, Datasmith, Castellan robots. And then my dumbass was like, huh, I wonder if you can fit that many Castellan robots on the board. That might be an issue. Has anybody done that before? And then, thankfully, my brain kicked in and said, you dipshit, that's the entire point of Cohort Cybernetica. And then you get also some benefits to other AdMech vehicles. So, I was back at square one as to, well, now that I know it's possible, is it a good idea? And the thing that this does have over Cohort Cybernetica, you lose out on giving the Castellan robots doctrine imperatives for 2 of them, right? Outside of the one that has the unit that has transocular dyad wafers. You lose out on giving them heavy assault +1 to the respective skill and, -1 hit or bonus AP. how much do I care about that? Is the next question. How much do you care about that? When you have now 12 models, right? At T11, how much do I care about them hitting on 4s outside of their flamer when I can give them, when it needs to, reroll hit and wound of 1? Do I care what the fuck they hit on? Because it will come out. Do I care when one of them will have access to still getting that? One of the units will get that. And then 2 of them can get the rerolls access, not at the same time, of course, right? And one of them can have bonus range. Do I care? And I think I've circled back to I don't. Now, please, AdMech players, if you do find that that is a genuine need on them, please tell me. I understand the vast majority would go, well, Castelline Robots suck anyway. I understand that much. However, having one unit of 11, of 4 T11 models, is different than having 12 models at T11, where in Cohort Cybernetica, they toddle back and forth between T10 and T9, right? Being out of Aegis, that 9 goes to, in Aegis, they go to 10, out of Aegis, they go to 9, the original, right? But in Haloscreed Battle Clade, this now becomes going back and forth between T10 and T11, which is a much bigger breakpoint for individuals to deal with. And it gives you bonus flexibility. Because if you take them out of Aegis Protocol, for whatever reason, right? Maybe you want 2 more attacks characteristic on the range weapons, right? You do take them down to 10, but for a CP and some mortal wounds, you can throw stealth back on and essentially nullify the weakness you've recreated. Or you have T11 with stealth at the cost of some mortal wounds, which is drastically different. However, I will now talk about the thing of breakpoints that was giving me troubles. T11 itself is not the biggest breakpoint. Yes, that is possibly New Knights, if that turns out to be true. But as a Tyrannus player with T11 monsters, I can tell you they're not indomitable, right? You can get past T11 because if something has anti-tank, it has anti-tank. So this will go into later some of the vehicles in AdMech that I was like, well, there's no point in making T10 to T11. If they have anti-tank, they have anti-tank. However, dealing with that across 12 models without needing to spend a CP for it is a lot harder. And this allows you to kit out the Castelline Robots in a different way, where now you can drop the twin linked and just go with Castelline Fist. That way you can get something like the Phosphor Blaster on top of the Incendiine Combustors, so you can have a fair amount of shots, and then when it comes time for you need to re-roll and, get the damage through with hits and wounds, you can do that for ACP. And we will talk about bringing somebody else that can, still just give you re-roll hits anyway for things that you don't use the CP on, right? You already know where I'm going, so there's that. But that's the main thing. That T11 in itself is not the hardest breakpoint. It becomes a much more hard thing to deal with when there's multiple T11s, right? When I take several Norns, Maleceptors, that's when people go, fuck, this is annoying. Taking one Norn, one Maleceptor, not too many people bat an eye. So from that point, taking 12 T11 models that have a 2-up save, 7 wounds each, can have access to stealth in a way, that gets annoying. And now I am certain that you are able to put 12 models of this caliber on the board. But why would I do that here instead of Cohort Cybernetica? I'm just missing things, right? So besides the fact that I've already talked about how you go back and forth between T10 and T9 and 11 and 10, which is a much bigger breakpoint, because if something can handle T10, it can probably handle T9, or T9 can probably handle T10, I guess is the better way to say it, but T10 can't always handle T11. Yeah, you'll miss out the Doctrina Imperatives. That's that. And there are decent enhancements. You will miss out on possibly blanking a damage per, but you now have access to stealth. You you miss out on these. So if that's what you really want, fine, I guess. But beyond that, it's whatever. Um, we have a way to give additional move and +1 to advance and charge rolls made for it, evens out with being able to give a unit advance and charge. Eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back and can ignore all modifiers. Now, you can shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which you fell back. Alright. Ignores cover. Flame already does. A lot of the weapons on the robots already do that. Ballistic skill at 3 up, whatever. Both the imperatives are active for it. Again, whatever. Reroll hit rolls. Reroll wound rolls if your unit is below half strength. How about reroll wound rolls and reroll hit rolls if I'm Halo Override? And who cares about the feel no pain against mortal wounds? Currently, that's not something that is really needed in this game. So, you do lose out on that flexibility, kind of, for some of these things, right? You can still apply these things to AdMech vehicles, but for the vast majority of shit over here, this is made so you can apply it to a lot of shit. So yeah, you can't get out of a Scorpius Dune Rider and you aren't infantry, but I think you will be fine outside of that. And crits on 5s, you can just save that for somebody that actually needs crits on 5s. Okay? So that's my dumb claim as to, well, what if you do fucking 12 models of T11, 2-up save, 7 wounds, that can be healed by something like an Engine Seer, and can have access to stealth, right? Like, that's the one. Now let's go on to, I guess, more wacky shenanigans. Fuck it. Cawl. Cawl can give you reroll hit rolls of 1 and can become lone up. I'm pretty sure probably put him on the thumbnail. Can also give benefit of cover. Going back to the 2-up save, benefit of cover would be pretty nice, even if you don't go with stealth on that one. So you can just make them kind of absurd. Here, T11 stealth, benefit of cover. Yeah, now we're talking about actual breakpoint beaters. But outside of that reroll hit rolls of 1, if I am not Halo Override, now I have reroll hit rolls of 1, reroll wound rolls of 1 with eradication protocols. And a little combo, I guess. Something you can do in all the detachments, but in here, now that you have access to reroll wounds and hits of 1, it probably is a little bit better. Scorpius Disintegrator, maybe now you all will believe me that it's time to take these. And I say that in mind with the Bellows Energy Cannon, where it's blast, indirect fire, 36 inches, 2d6, hidden on 4s, but you know how AdMech works with Doctrine Imperatives. Heavy can go down to hidden on 3s, but you can't hit indirectly better than 4s anymore. That's that whole thing. But, with the right skill and yada yada yada, you'll be fine with 4s. Strength 7, AP 2, damage 1. Add 1 to the hit roll if you're attacking infantry with the Bellows Energy Cannon, right? So, reroll hit rolls of 1 next to Cawl. Cawl is blown up. They're hiding behind something for indirect fire. Reroll wound rolls of 1 if you feel you need it for that. Now, if you feel that you have enough chaff clearing with the Castelline Robots I guess you could go with the Ferromite Cannon option, but with 12, 12 robots, you probably should be hitting that same profile, especially having access to advance and charge in this one. I think you'll be fine. I'm moving this over here just for the sake of that, right? So I think you can sacrifice this, and I'm really just making this one to say, or saying this point to say that, again, Scorpius Disintegrators. We see that they work now. Take them. They work now. Then, what I found, another unit that's really good at making Halo Override, or should be, alright, is Sidonian Dragoons with Taser Lances. The Taser Lances have anti-walker 2 up, that's whatever, but they have Lance and sustained hits 2. So now you have a target for crits on 5s. They can declare a charge on the turn in which they advanced or fell back. And they are T7, 3 up save, 5 up inbound, 7 wounds, move of 10. It benefits from damn near everything on here. But going back to the breakpoint situation, I don't know how. Well, actually, I do know. T7 isn't the hardest thing to get rid of. It's not. Giving them stealth instead of making them pop smoke, that's fine. Giving them +1 toughness, 7 to 8, again, it doesn't really help that much with the weapons that are out there. Doesn't really give a fuck. 2 to the move, so making them 12 with advance and charge is nice. You don't need to use predation protocols on that one. So, while it's nice for them to have 1, 2, 3, they have access to getting stealth, right? This one doesn't really affect the breakpoint to the point that it's that useful, and this one is nice. But that said, you can just give them neural overload when you actually want them to advance and charge with +2 to move, instead of wasting this on that unit per se. And you can also give them reroll wound rolls, hit rolls, if you did make them a Halo Override, but I don't think it's that important to get essentially 12 attacks through, right? I don't think we need it that bad. But giving them crits on 5s is a different story. Now, if you want to spend 2 CP to give them 12 attacks, crits on 5s, rerolling 1s, that go for it, right? But yeah, I think Sidonian Dragoons are still a good option. Maybe not necessarily to make them Halo Override, but for the list, I think they're still good. Saran Infiltrators. This is one that, on like take 2 or 3, who fucking knows at this point, that I was like, yeah, maybe I was thinking too big. Maybe instead of making murder balls, you make the smaller balls better. Which is kind of true, right? I do think making a screen of 10 models go from T4 to T5 that has infiltrate and stealth, that is a little bit more annoying. They have sustained hits too with their taser goes, so crits on 5s and rerolls, all of that is still nice here, but I don't know if I want to blow that all the time on Saran Infiltrators. I think you take them into your list so that you have the option to do that, but I think I am now resold on a bunch of Castelline Robots, and maybe for a turn, pop a CP to make them T5, because yeah, T5 isn't the hardest thing to get rid of with a 4-up save. Oh, trust me, I know that one well. But when 10 models get that, the shit that somebody was going to dump into it to pick up the Saran Infiltrators on the first go-around, now it might take them 2 activations for the cost of your 1 CP that they weren't expecting. Same argument for the Terexi Skystalkers, but they have Deep Strike and Shoot and Scoot, so that's also just annoying, but they lose out on stealth, so there's that. Then we go into where I had my biggest issues, I guess. Manipulus and Breachers. This could also be Dominus, right? And we'll actually just put Dominus here, just so, whatever. Either giving a squad of Breachers lethal hits, or 5 up Feel No Pain goes into the other one, where they have reroll hit rolls of 1. So they don't need to be Halo Override, to get that. You have wound rolls of 1 if you use eradication protocols, but then going on to the same issue with, or not the issue, the double-edged sword of the Dragoons is that they can benefit from all of this. But again, T7 to T8 isn't that much of a great breakpoint. They are infantry that would like the +2 to move. Going to 5 to 7 is nice. Advancing charge is cute. They don't really need it that bad, and giving them stealth is also nice. So it's fine to do so, but I don't think I want to waste that on them. I think that's another argument for I could just use a CP because you don't get the Halo override keyword, so you won't benefit from this, right? But I don't need to benefit from this anyway. So when I do want to activate a unit, I can spend a CP to give them what I need from them in the moment, because T7 isn't that hard to pick up. And then lastly, with the Honor Dragoon Crawler, this goes back to the, well, one unit or one model going from T10 to T11, any anti-tank is still going to pick it up. But I did have the idea of Honor Dragoon Crawlers going to T11 and protecting Dominus leading battle line and make a little bit of brick there. So that's just an idea I wanted to share in case you find better use for that. So all in all, I think the winner for me on Haloscreed Battle Clade is 12 T11 models that get to just stat check the hell out of your opponent that usually you wouldn't be able to do in AdMech because they would cap out at 10 in Cohort Cybernetica, but now they can cap out at 11. So yeah, that's where I think I fall with all of this. If you have better luck with certain things, I'd love to hear it. If you have tips, tricks, whatever, please throw that below. And overall, if you just want to give your opinion respectfully, of course, please feel free to do so. But yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment from me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.